Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Pipeline. I am super excited today because I have somebody in studio rather than somewhere around the country, and I have somebody very special. I have Craig Robbins in studio. He is not only a veteran and has served our country, but he's actually an expert when it comes to how do vets enter the private workplace, how do they enter the private sector. And he also is the CEO of MilitaryHire.com. Craig, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrew. Pleasure to be here, and really look forward to engaging with the audience, and really look forward to bringing this new partnership that we have together.
We're going to change the world. Strap in.
You might need
a seatbelt for this podcast. Okay, so first, tell us about your military career and any stories that are noteworthy that you'd like to talk about.
Yeah, well, first, I always talk about my experience with military service is very nonlinear. That is the word that comes to mind. So you've heard a little bit about my story, but I was a freshman at Arizona State University in 2001. Don't know how much you know about ASU, but there's a lot of sunshine, palm trees, and outside of class, it's a pretty there's a nice and enjoyable environment.
A party or two that might happen.
There was a party or two that might happen between lunch and dinner every day.
Yeah.
But anyway, so around that time, if you think back to February, March of 2003, the U.S. Marines and Army and the rest of our great airmen, sailors, et cetera, we're getting ready to cross the border into Iraq.
Yep.
If, guided to do so by the President of the United States. I was sitting in my dorm room. I'll never forget this moment. I was sitting in my dorm room with my roommate, Joe, had a couple beers in front of me, and just looked up at the TV, and I felt this kind of overwhelming emotion coming over me. And it was one of seeing these individuals about my age getting ready to do this thing that seemed at the time a pretty big and important thing. This was just 2 years after 9/11, which we, in our generation, very clearly remember.
Very formative.
Yeah, where we were. And at the time, these events in the world seem to be fairly interconnected. Whether that is true in hindsight or not didn't matter.
Right.
In 2003, I was looking at the military and its prospect of going to war, and I just thought to myself, what is this value I'm feeling in myself right now? And am I doing something that is impactful as what they're about to do? And is there any way I can go help this cause? Can I go help this team I'm seeing on TV and on the news? And I looked at my roommate and I said, if this might sound a little crazy, but if these guys and girls roll over that line and go into Iraq, I am withdrawing from school and I am going.
Wow.
And so it was just days later.
Yeah, they did. And then
they rolled. I rolled.
Yep.
I went to a recruiting station in Tempe, Arizona.
Yep.
Walked in there not knowing anything about the military whatsoever.
Interesting.
And as all people who joined the Marine Corps do, still remember Staff Sergeant French in his dress blues. I walked in and said, I need help getting to Iraq. And he said, I think I can help you with that. Told him a little bit about my background. And anyway, long story short, just a couple weeks went by and I moved from my dorm room at ASU to Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, California, where I was embarking on the journey of an active duty infantry Marine. I'm going to take a really long story and condense it. Week 10 of 13 in basic training, I had a very just odd, nothing exciting, an odd accident that resulted in tearing 2 ligaments in my knee, and I broke a bone. So it was just to say a depressing moment.
Oh yeah,
a setback
when
in life.
When you're that far into training, and it's like this is going to have a huge impact on what I'm going to be able to do.
I was getting ready to do the most impactful thing I think I would have done to that point in my life.
Yep.
And then I find myself dusting off the uniform to go out on the parade deck to graduate as a Marine. And then everything shatters right in front of me, and I don't know what I'm doing in life because I'm no longer a student. I'm no longer embarking on this journey. I don't know. I'm lost. So I come home a couple months later, went through some rehab, as I had been doing since an early teenager, picked up another job pretty quickly, worked a little bit. And then at one point I moved up to Iowa for a role selling television advertising.
Yep.
And while I was there selling TV ads for a large network, I thought I should probably get myself back in school.
Yep.
So I went back to class at the University of Iowa. And 2005, a couple years after this whole thing unfolded, found myself just itching to get back in the fight and to go do what I thought I was going to be able to do 2 years prior. So I once again withdrew from all my classes. I re-enlisted in the Marine Corps. I went back to Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, also known as boot camp.
Yep.
And I started over at day one. Had many thoughts about, my gosh, what am I doing?
Because people love to do boot camp over and over and over again.
I'm one of those weird ones.
Sure, that's great.
It's like being an entrepreneur.
You
wouldn't know anything about that, right?
You hate your life.
So why would you ever start a company after you've already had a successful exit? It does not make sense to most.
Something wrong with me.
So week 6 into basic, I tore the same ligament in my knee again. Came back home once again, and then a year later, I'm asking myself the same question. How do I get back in? How do I do this thing? It's now 2006.
Yep.
I ended up finding my way to the ROTC program at the University of Iowa, joined ROTC, and went through, finished college, commissioned as a second lieutenant into the Illinois Army National Guard in 2009. And then just to fast forward a little bit, from then until now, I've spent a little over 17 and a half years in the Army National Guard, transitioned to the Army Reserve. And for the past 5 years, because I'm an HR tech entrepreneur, as you know, the past 5 years, I've been able to work on a lot of defense modernization initiatives, a lot of technology transformation within DoD. But prior to joining Military Hire, I was leading an HR tech company with an outplacement solution. And we were doing a lot of career transition. So it's just that combination of knowing the military space really well, knowing the career transition space really well, and the military market is what ultimately led me to join Military Hire. And
and where we are today. We'll get to that.
Joining with you.
Hold on. Strap in, people. And I didn't prep you for this question, so if I stump you, how many people transition out of the military every year on average?
Yeah, so on average, there are roughly between 240 to 260,000 people.
Wow,
every single year.
Yeah, and these transition are highly trained men and women who understand operations, understand how to execute, but now they need to transition into a brave new world. And obviously, you've been doing this for a little while. What are the biggest challenges that a vet exiting the military, even, and maybe talk about someone who's like an infantryman, like very low end, or a, captain in the Navy SEALs or whatever. Like, what are the challenges that they face right off the bat?
Yeah, and so just to save you from all the infantrymen that might, say,
they're gonna hate on me.
Low on the
clearly, I don't know my stuff. All right,
but no, in all sincerity, you have these roles like the infantry, right? That make the transition and the ability to translate across the gap much harder. The military is a self-sustaining organization that does almost every function you can think of in society. So we have doctors and lawyers. We have scientists and chemists. We have accountants. But we also have the infantrymen and women. We have the special operators. Here, is one thing that is a leg up for everybody. And then I'll get into some of the unique challenges. But, we all operate in this world. We think of, if you don't have experience in military recruiting, or you're a service member that has not made the transition before, we actually think of our worlds as being more or further apart than they really are. So take the infantryman who is in the Marine Corps that is constantly preparing for combat operations and to be prepared, for those scenarios. They're still using things like Microsoft platforms. They're still engaging with, high tech. They're using satellite, communications. they're running things like logistics and food. You think about supply chain and where all the things could go wrong and getting people and equipment from one spot to another. No one does it better. Yeah. Nobody does logistics better than the United States military.
Right.
And some of our customers might even take issue with that. It's supply chain.
That's right.
But nobody does it better. FedEx was actually founded by a veteran, you know, after the World Wars. And there are a lot of stories like that. What makes it really difficult, though, if you haven't made that transition before, is even when we're doing a job that's similar to a role that's in the private sector, we're doing it in an organization that has a lot of very unique things about it, from the acronyms to the environment to this constant mentality of we're always training for something, not necessarily doing that thing all the time.
Right, because if you're a war fighter, like hopefully there's not wars very often. Yeah. Right? You're preparing for something that is hopefully a one-time event, maybe a once-in-a-lifetime event, even if it's a multi-month or multi-year event.
Or decade in some cases.
Or decade
as we're transitioning out of.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. But it is that there's a lot of unique things about it, but it is that question that a lot of service members ask: how do I take this experience that I know has similarities, but I can't quite figure out how to talk about it? I don't know what my narrative is. I don't know what it should be. And I'll tell you something else that, was, a profound impact on me, because I had private sector experience prior. But this is something a lot of us deal with as well, especially if you've deployed. But if you haven't, it still applies. You find yourself asking, how am I going to bring this level of value and sense of contribution that I have felt, that it is on a level that you almost can't believe. And even though you learn through time that companies do have in the private sector equally mission critical responsibilities and operations, whether it's working in a hospital or delivering, food, whatever the case is, you're still asking that question: how am I ever going to find this value, and how do I think about myself in a role where I'm getting a sense of self-worth that is at that level? And we many of us ask that question. Not only will I find it, but is it even possible? I mean,
And do you think some of the, PTSD, I think it's a very broad category. And we in the private sector, someone who's not served, I always associate with that when, with people who've gone into significant combat. But I read a stat recently that there is just such a strong correlation between not PTSD or suicidal thoughts and a strong job. Right? You get the right job. And that tells me it's not just you've gone through hard things. And a lot of these men and women have gone through hard things. But to what you're saying right now, there's this really high sense of worth, of value. You're doing a really hard thing. You clearly know what it needs to be. You're pushing yourself physically. You're grappling with things. And you feel like, I'm protecting the world. I'm protecting my family. I'm protecting my country. Like, that gives you a lot of satisfaction. There's very few jobs that feel like they're going to do that as well. Do you think that's part of the factor of why veterans struggle with this transition? Yeah,
absolutely. You hit the nail on the head. I mean, it is, where am I going to find this sense of great contribution outside of this world? Because we have sometimes the false premise that it doesn't exist anywhere else. But it takes time to find it, but it's out there almost, in all walks of life, in all sectors of the economy. But I would say, and that's one of the things, if you're an employer and you don't have a lot of experience recruiting from the military sector, a lot of people go into the military recruiting space with a lot of biases that they need to kind of check, on their way in, and kind of go in with a clean slate, because deployments in military service affect everybody differently. I am a combat veteran, in addition to a veteran myself, and everyone just has a different experience. But for the most part, these are things that people have a lot of resources to engage with to help cope, through that transition process.
Well, let's talk about the employers a little bit. So how have you seen it gone wrong when an employer hires someone who's a combat veteran or one of the other disciplines that are all over the U.S. military? How have you seen it go wrong in that situation?
Yeah. And clarify, like, in the situation of.
Yeah. So they hire someone and it just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
There's such a mismatch of whether it's vocabulary or language or expectations. What does that look like when it goes wrong?
Yeah. I think, so there's two parts. There's probably a lot more. Two parts that come to mind on this question. One thing I think employers do wrong frequently is they have a bad experience with a veteran or a service member, and then they generalize that, I had a bad experience.
Makes sense.
You might know people like this.
Yes, I do.
So, it must not be all that great to hire from this community of millions of people.
That's right.
And they take that experience because in our society, the veteran segment is thought about often in a good or bad way, but it's just a thing, right?
Yes, it is.
So then you have this thing and you tried it and it wasn't a good experience. Right. So you think this thing is a negative or positive experience.
That's right.
So that can go very wrong. Yeah. Taking that first impression.
It's like hiring a bald guy and be like, bald guys don't work out because I met Andrew.
Right.
Like,
so
dude.
Yeah. So the first thing is, think about those things that might go wrong in hiring from the military community.
Yeah.
Are those things really unique to that community?
No.
Or are they unique to everybody?
Yeah, interesting.
And you make bad hires.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. No, that makes sense.
But I would say too, the other thing that can go wrong is trying to define what a veteran is.
Yeah.
Right. So we in the society,
it's a broad generalization. Right?
Yeah. We have these military hiring programs. We have the hire a vet. I'm going to go hire 100,000 veterans. I'm going to go get, X% of my workforce as a veteran. The question I would ask is what is a veteran to you?
Yeah. Right.
And let me just say it is not possible to define a veteran outside of just the simple fact they served.
Right.
And so knowing how broad and deep our skill sets are, how diverse we are and where we come from, the jobs we do, the education we have, it is impossible to define a veteran. And so what I would share with your audience and with employers, far and wide, is when you think about a veteran, think about, because I have served alongside everyone I'm about to mention. Yeah. Think about the NASA astronaut with a PhD from Stanford who completes spacewalks. Think about the truck driver who's out there working for DHL or FedEx. Think about your neighbor who might go to work as a teacher. I deployed. Our deputy commander when I was deployed was a special forces officer, a Green Beret. Yeah. But his full-time job was as a math teacher. At a junior high. Yeah. So my thing is bottom line is don't try to define what a veteran is and go out and hire a veteran to hire a veteran. Right. You got to look beyond that and start to understand the skills and the experience and the performance opportunities and potential they bring to your team. Yeah, that's really interesting. And it just putting everybody in a broad generalization of you're a veteran is as bad as some of the DEI stuff that's been done. Yeah. Right. In one sense. And we want to respect people who have served. We want to give them opportunities, right? Absolutely. If someone has, risked their life to save your life, you would probably give them a different opportunity than some random stranger on the street, right? And that's why I'm a huge fan of how do we give opportunities to veterans? Some of them, if you're a combat veteran, it messes with you a little bit when you got things blowing up around you. Yeah. You need to shoot someone or someone's shooting at you, right? That has happened to me. Yes, right. Those are real things and it changes you. And so we want to be kind and bless those people, but just hiring them as a broad generalization, I'm going to hire you because you're a vet, not because you're an individual who has worked hard to build a skill set that's going to drive value in the marketplace. Yeah, absolutely. Right. Absolutely. And I think that is a really important distinction. And because we don't want to fall into that DEI trap, but we do want to bless people who have blessed us. Yeah, that's how the world works, right? Absolutely. That's fantastic. Okay, so you've got not a broad generalization of veterans, yet they all are under one huge organization called the U.S. military. And so there's a whole ecosystem of businesses, of programs, of nonprofits that are trying to help those people when they're done serving in the military find a job in the private sector. Maybe give us if you can, a flyover, because I know going deep on that would take hours at least. Yeah. What's a flyover? What does it look like? What's that whole system look like, and what's broken, what's working? Yeah. That's a great question. It really is. One of the challenges, as you're getting out of the service. One of the challenges is to, navigate this ocean.
Yeah.
This absolute, monstrosity. I'm going to call it a universe, actually, not even an ocean.
For sure.
There is a universe of resources, and they come in every shape and size you could think of.
And there's probably some scams out there,
yeah.
too.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
there are
yeah.
a lot of scams out there. And then there's, there are resources that just want to jump in and try to do a good thing, but they have no experience. They don't have credibility.
Right.
But it begins with the institution.
Yep.
The Department of Defense runs what is called the TAP, or Transition Assistance Program. Yep. Army has Soldier for Life program. Other services have their flavor. But the institutions do at least something as the service members are on their way out the door.
Yeah.
But I remember my TAP experience, and they're not all the same.
Yep.
I could not focus on a PowerPoint about how to write a resume within literally the first 72 hours I got home from Afghanistan.
Yeah, right.
I just wasn't paying attention.
No.
That, it could be my fault.
Maybe. I don't know.
But I wouldn't
it's
focus
a little
on
less
that.
interesting than being in Afghanistan.
And, and this might actually make you laugh. I'm not sure, but it wasn't anything really interesting or exciting I was thinking about. It was probably gosh, I really want a cheeseburger right now.
Yeah, I know,
I
right?
can't wait to go to McDonald's.
Yeah, there's a great little PowerPoint,
right?
but man, McDonald's.
Yeah. So, but so the institution has programs set up. The problem is, as you know, the institutions are often doing the same thing for decades at a time.
Okay.
And so what worked in the 1980s to transition to a career might not work now. And they're more advanced than that.
For sure.
But they're not at the cutting edge like you are in the recruiting tech space. They're not offering the latest and greatest of data and, high touch, human centric.
So you're saying the U.S. government
processes.
is not the most technologically advanced and efficient organization in the world?
Unless we're talking about logistics and weapons systems, we're pretty far behind.
We're
pretty far behind.
True.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
So that's the institution. Then I would say you get into the larger tranche of resources, and those are going to be your nonprofits and for-profit organizations that all are out there trying to do great things to help veterans. And that's everything from a Fortune 500 company's own program to the local community college to the national nonprofits that are partnered with the Chamber of Commerce, counties, cities, and the federal government, everywhere in between, all offering these different things and different programs, initiatives, and training programs to help veterans make the transition. The problem is, and we've talked a little bit about this, it's such a large space, but it's such a fragmented space.
Right.
So the service members and the veterans are thinking, I only have time to dedicate toward maybe 2 or 3 resources.
Right.
So what do I do with these tens of thousands of resources? Which 2 or 3 do I pick?
Right.
Because you can't go through all of them.
No.
And so a lot of it is word of mouth. What are your buddies doing?
Yeah.
Where are other people going, to find help? But it is just a massive environment of people trying to do the right thing, but very hard to gauge credibility and what's going to work and who to listen to, because a lot of these programs have been doing it the same way for 20 plus years.
Yeah. And we were talking to Walmart, and they have just an incredible internal program to help vets think about what careers they could go into, where they're going to go succeed, what their transition looks like. It was an incredible program, but it's just for Walmart potential employees.
And as they mentioned, they have a new MOS skills translator that's actually finally using data and software-based intelligence to make a broader and better interpretation of what these service members' experiences really are.
That's right.
So
that's right. Yeah. So, and we're going to now get to kind of our announcement. We're very excited.
Here we go.
So
make sure they're ready.
Yes. I hope you're sitting down right now. We have now joined forces. So RedBalloon.work is now the proud owner and partner of MilitaryHire.com. Congratulations. Yes, we're very excited. So just this month, and it's going to give just incredible access to the RedBalloon employers, to some of your community and the people that are looking for employment and are some of the best potential employees that these people can have. They're disciplined, they're hardworking, they understand operations and process, logistics. Incredible. Super excited about that. And there's going to be a lot of cultural alignment with those people, right?
Definitely.
They're looking for the type of employers that are on RedBalloon that care more about meritocracy, more about hard work, more about freedom than the latest political correctness fad, right? So that's super duper exciting. And then on the military hire side, we've been spending so much time and energy at Red Balloon trying to think through, okay, what does it look like to hire like a human being? We want to use AI. We want to use technology. We want to use that to help human beings be efficient and effective, because we believe that hiring is a distinctly human activity. And if we can have the technology not make the decision, not get in the way, but make it so that humans can actually interact and be in a spot where you're making a decision around work ethic, around culture, around the things that actually matter, and not reducing human beings and jobs into just a list of skills. Yep. Skills are important. People need to be able to deliver on that. But human beings are way more complex. And so we've been working really hard on that. And then we thought, okay, what's the community that probably needs that the most, yep. right? As we've been talking to vets this week, one gentleman said the most meaningful program that he had was when he actually got to talk to a human being, right? And get mentorship and get to work with someone. And so that's what Red Balloon's all about. How to use technology to put people together rather than have technology run the show, right? That's what we're trying to accomplish. So we're fired up about this partnership, and we think it's going to be a blessing to all of us. So I don't know, any thoughts on what we're going to go? We're going to go conquer the world together. Yeah, right?
I mean, taking a step back, I've followed Andrew's work for decades. I've known of his team.
He hasn't followed me on the street. That'd be weird.
No.
Just follow my work. Totally
Follow the work. Follow the work.
He's not creepy.
and the work they were doing at MZ and Lightcast were always cutting edge and paving the future of how data and technology can help recruiters and help job seekers and students. When I came on to Military Hires about 2.5 years ago, I came on board because it was under new ownership. They were looking to take the company in a new direction. And it was a fellow Army officer, actually, who introduced me to the owners. And they were looking for someone that knew HR tech, had been in the space for about 15 years, that knew the military community and knew career transition. I uniquely fit all three.
Yeah, it's like a Venn diagram, and you're smack
I'm
dab
right in the middle. Right in the middle.
I love it.
I think the owners called me the purple squirrel, as you might hear. But so I came on board with Military Hire to bring modern recruiting solutions and career transition solutions to a underserved market when it comes to using the latest and greatest. And so I was on a mission to go raise money to build this new solution, or an easier path in the world of entrepreneurship is to go find someone who already built it and then take everyone you want to serve with it and join forces. And so, look, what I'm excited about is this connection, this bringing together of Andrew, myself, and the teams that we lead, is taking in my mind, one of the greatest minds in talent, technology, and engineering.
Did you hear that, people?
Building a business and a thought leader in this space for a long time in the military and veteran market segment, coming together as one group that will, and I really mean this, we will transform the way that job seekers and recruiters engage in this military and veteran segment. And it is going to bring so much positive impact to this community, because we're using AI and the latest technologies, but we're using it to help people do what they do best. And I want to hit on one thing real quick, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
I think what's happened in today's world is we have over accelerated in the recruiting space in particular. We have over accelerated into the use of AI. To the point where now we want AI to make the decisions for us. We want that perfect candidate that lands on my plate. And I think this was the greatest match the algorithm told me. And so I'm just going to make the hire, right?
Right, yeah.
And the way Andrew and I think about technology is we need the technology to better enable people to get up to that last mile. I can't comb through 5,000 candidates and find the ones that are a great match. AI can, but when it does, I want to take that pool and do what we in the military and veteran community do best, and that's a lot of hard work. Shaking hands, meeting people, going through the grind every day as a recruiter, and making that very human decision: who's going to fit my culture, who's going to fit my value system, and that's another thing that we're very familiar with in the military. You could be a great fit to join, But if you don't fit that value system and you don't have the ethos
Right.
that we hold to a very high standard, you're not going to make it onto the team.
You're not. In fact, you were talking about the military is the largest meritocratic organization on the planet, right? You're either
believe so.
good at stuff and you go to special forces or whatever, or you're not, and you're gonna, go where your skill set is going to bring the most value to the organization, right?
Absolutely.
Which is such a great fit for the real Red Balloon audience.
I've heard, Andrew, and I would only guess what your opinion is on this, but I know, being in the HR space and the consulting space for a while, a lot of companies are doing away with things like performance reviews and, promoting based on best ability to do the job and not, some other factors. And I will tell you what will be a fresh of breath air is that every single service member, and there are millions of them at any given time, like million plus people serving in the armed forces right now, we all have a performance review, and we all expect to be told very honestly and respectfully,
yes,
where we meet the standard, where we greatly exceed it, and where we fall short. And it's just part of why wouldn't you do that?
Refreshing, right? You want to be a better person, And how do you get to be a better person without someone telling you?
Absolutely, yeah. And if you have a lot of ambition, you want someone to sit you down at the end of the year or every few months and say, look, if you want to go the distance, here are some things you're doing great.
Right.
And here are some things that we can work on if you want to.
Yeah.
And the people that don't fit that often kind of find their way out the door with the organization anyway.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yep. The other thing that Military Hire does that we're actually very excited about, and we're going to figure out how we're going to implement this on the Red Balloon side, is they have these virtual career fairs.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. And getting back to this theme of you want to use technology to bring humans together, not to pull them apart. These virtual career fairs are going to have thousands of people. In fact, I think the last big one had 10,000 veterans.
10,000 people sign up.
So and half of them actually showed up. Right, it was amazing. Right, and so you have all these people coming and going to a virtual booth with employers and having an opportunity to have a conversation person to person, even if you're not in the same physical room. Right, and that's back to this theme: how do you use technology to bring humans together? And I think one of there's a lot of silver lining around the whole COVID thing where, it gave people visibility into things that were happening. But the thing we lost was that human interaction. I think that,
absolutely,
and work from home is sometimes the best thing for your family. You need to, have a job that'll support them and be in a community that you love. That's good. I'm all for that. But we lost this human connection, and I think we need to get back to that, and we're trying to accomplish that and using technology to enable that to go very well. So anyway, next event's coming up in a couple of months.
Yeah, we have one in September coming up, but the one in November we do for Veterans Day is the biggest event we do each year, and people will be able to create, their booth, create their brand, their marketing.
So cool.
They'll be able to bring a lot of recruiters to the event in that booth and engage in text-based only and or audio chat, video chat. And the neatest thing about it that I've shown you is, not only do they get to engage with the candidates, but they have every data point you would want as a recruiter post-event. Who came into your booth and who didn't, who got in line to chat, who was in line that didn't get to chat, who did chat.
Right.
And then recruiters can actually rate their experience talking to candidates so that after the event, you have all this data to go through. And the cherry on top is you start doing a lot of follow-up activity post-event and doing your own marketing campaigns and email campaigns and outreach. I can't tell you how many people that we know have been hired, not just attended, but hired. In fact, if you want to tell me, this morning. LinkedIn post dropped yesterday, and it was about someone who just 1 month ago said that they were leaving the federal sector after 12 to 15 years, and she came to one of our hiring events on July 1st and already has accepted a new position.
That's fantastic.
That's why we get up
and
and
it's
do
a
what we
human
do
connection, which is
every day.
amazing.
Yep.
Well, we're out of time, but we're super excited about this. There's going to be more and more updates as we go forward. It's going to take a couple of months for us to revamp a lot of the technology on the military hire side. We're learning a lot from you. We hope we're going to bring a lot of value, but this is going to be a partnership that's going to be a deep blessing to employers and job seekers, not just in the vet community, but everyone who cares about freedom in the workplace, cares about hard work, is going to be blessed by this partnership. I'm super excited about it. And I hope you are too. Craig,
really fired
thanks for
up,
being
Andrew.
here. We're fired up.
It's awesome.
I hope you have a great day. Thanks for listening.
More to come.